So I know we just did the top 5 yesterday, but I had to make some new additions and I had to help you guys out. So I have some more things that will absolutely slay in Warzone, and I know you guys will absolutely love it. Starting out with the TR-76 Geist. This thing is absolutely incredible. You guys need to be using this. Start with the VT7 Spiritfire Suppressor L for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. Then throw on the Bruin Bridle Heavy for recoil control, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, hip fire and tack stand spread, and movement speed. Put on the Bruin Pivot Vertical Grip for gun kick control, vertical recoil, aiming out of sway, and firing aim stability at the cost of horizontal recoil, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. 45 round mag is essential. Just make sure you never use the guy's single tap, because no matter what, they just can't really get this right. It's just not a good attachment. Last but not least, the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5 times is absolutely essential for this attachment. Let me just show you guys how amazing this gun is. It doesn't really take much effort to use. In my opinion, it actually is probably one of the strongest guns in the game right now. The only downside is the low ammo rate, so you will run out pretty quick if you're just spraying away. So be careful with those long range engagements, because they may just get you in trouble. This is the class setup right here, so make sure you guys are copying this down. You will absolutely love it, and it's just that simple to use. Next is the SVA 545. This gun is a sleeper, and I don't think many people are actually using this. So I have to give you the best build, and trust me, you're gonna destroy the battlefield. Put on the VT7 Spiritfire Suppressor for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. Put on the STV Precision Barrel for aiming out of sway, bullet velocity and range, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip fire and tack stand spread, and aim walking speed. I put on the 5.45 high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of some recoil control. If you don't want to use this, I'll give you an alternative. 60 round mag, I just think that's the best overall choice. Even though it has cons, I think it'll be worth it. And last but not least, the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5 times. This makes, in my opinion, one of the strongest assault rifles in the game, especially with the initial strong fire rate in the beginning. This is something you definitely want to have in your arsenal. You see how fast it absolutely takes out the enemy? I don't think people are using this. It's actually kind of insane. So just to show you guys, if you guys don't want to use the high grain, take off the high grain, go to the underbarrel, put on the Kimura Rin 03 vertical grip, and this thing is an absolute laser. It's actually scary how much no recoil this thing has. This thing is ridiculous. So if you don't want to use high grain, use this. As you guys see, it literally does not move. So it's on recruit difficulty. This thing has about the amount of recoil as an MCW. So in my opinion, might be one of the best assault rifles in the game. You guys let me know what you guys think. Please copy this class setup down, and you guys will absolutely take off. Bruin Mark III. Put on the VT Spiritfire Suppressor for being undetectable by radar, the recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of some aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. Put on the 23-inch XRK Horizon V2 for bullet velocity, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walking speed, and movement speed. Put on the Bruin Heavy Support Grip for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of some aim down sight speed and vertical recoil control. 60 round mag is completely personal preference, but this gives you more aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and reload quickness. The last thing I put on is the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5. This is personal preference, but honestly, I think it's the best choice out of anything you can potentially use. I picked this weapon first because I believe this is the strongest weapon in Warzone 3, and honestly, I don't think many people are actually using it. It has so little recoil and it gets the job done very easily. I just want to show you guys again. First of all, look how fast that reload was, and look how easy the recoil is to control. This thing is absolutely insane and easy to use, so this is definitely the first thing you actually want to put on out of anything else. The Bruin Mark III is the best weapon in Warzone 3. But if you're not so much of an LMG guy and you want to use an AR/battle rifle, the BASP is the way to go. Put on the VT7 Spiritfire Suppressor L for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of some aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. Put on the Bruin Venom Long Barrel for bullet velocity and range, recoil control, aiming, idle sway, and gun kick control at the cost of sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and sprint speed. The Bruin Heavy Support Grip is a must-have for this gun because a whole lot of recoil, so put on the gun kick control, aiming out of sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability attachment. Now, the con is you do get a reduction of aim down sight speed and vertical recoil, but that won't matter. I put on the 45 round mag because this is the most you can actually put on there. If I could have more, I would put more, but unfortunately you cannot. Once again, I put on the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5. In my opinion, this is the best best choice, but I have seen people just use a slate reflector or just something basic like that. Whichever you choose, completely your choice, but my choice was the Choreo Eagle's Eye. This is the absolute best assault rifle. As you guys see, it wipes out the enemy incredibly quick. This was an absolute dangerous weapon in the beginning of the game, and it's still absolutely amazing. Both medium, short, and long range, it just gets the job done very easily, so this is something that you definitely want to have in your arsenal, so make sure you copy this class down if you love using the WASS-B. Now this is going to be interesting, but I do want to show you guys a WASSwarm class. Put on the HM Res Mod Suppressor S for being undetectable by the radar, and an increase of bullet velocity at the cost of some recoil control. Put on the Brune Heavy Support Grip for gun kick control, aiming idle sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of some aim down sight speed and vertical recoil. Put on the 9mm high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of some recoil control. Trust me, you won't notice it. The next thing I put on, and this is going to shock some people, is the 100-round drum. The reason I say that is because when I compared the 50-round mag with the 100-round drum, it just made no sense not to have the 100-round drum because the difference is basically negligible. Last thing I want to show you guys is the FSS Fortress Heavy Stock for gun kick control, recoil control, firing aim stability, and tac stance spread at the cost of sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed, sprint speed, and movement speed. In my opinion, this is an amazing SMG to have for short and medium range. Now, honestly, the big bang for your buck is the amount of bullets this thing has. You could honestly just shoot forever and it wouldn't even matter. You could just keep shooting and you're not going to run out for a long time. So this is something I absolutely love. In my opinion, it's one of the best SMGs to have in the game. If you could take on a whole bunch of enemies and not run out of bullets, why wouldn't you? This is the class setup. Make sure you guys copy down this WASSwarm class if you guys actually want to take off and destroy the entire team without having to reload a bullet. Now we're taking a step back and showing everybody who may have a striker class the best striker class. Put on the Sonic S suppressor for being Put on the Sonic Suppressor S for being undetectable by radar, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of aim, walking steadiness, sprint to fire speed, and recoil control. Put on the Striker Recon Long Barrel for bullet velocity and range, aiming out of sway at the cost of hip fire, tac stance spread, sprint to fire speed, and aim, walking speed. Next, put on the .45 auto high grain rounds for no enemy skulls, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of some recoil control. It does not matter. 60-round drum, just because I think this is the best choice. If you want to use 48, completely your preference. It's completely up to you, whichever one you want to use, but I think 60 is definitely appropriate for this gun right here. The last thing I put on is the RB Critalis Assault Stock for gun kick control, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed at the cost of hip fire and tac stance spread, recoil control, and movement speed. This gun is absolutely amazing because it has very little recoil despite all the attachments that may seem like they actually affect the recoil. This thing is absolutely beautiful to use. Now, in my opinion, I would actually go without any camos on any of these guns just because I feel like with the camos, other than this like black and white camo right here, a lot of these camos are like more so a distraction, like the ghoulie camo, and a lot of these animated camos are just distractions and you don't really want to have them on. So this is the best striker class setup. You guys want to have this on, especially if you want to take the enemies down very quickly and very silently. Another underrated gun, which I actually don't even use so much myself, but I do see it a lot in competitive, is the DG58 LSW. Throwing the BT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. Throwing the Woody Long Barrel for aiming idle sway, bullet velocity and range, recoil control, and gun kick control at the cost of fire attack stance spread, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and aim walking speed. Throwing the Brune Heavy Support Grip for gun kick control, aiming idle sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of aim down sight speed and recoil control. On the recoil reduction butt plate for recoil control and gun kick control at the cost of aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, sprint speed, and movement speed. Last but not least, I put on the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5 times. It's just personal preference. You can use anything you want to, but this is what I like to use. In my opinion, it just gets the job done very easy, and you know, despite it getting the job done very easily, I don't see enough people using this, so hopefully this class setup will actually help you guys out and give you guys some variety instead of the regular WASS-B and, you know, any other weapon that you may use. I know that the whatever it was called, the MTZ got nerfed recently, so this is definitely a class that you guys may like to have if you guys like fully automatic. The DG58 LSW is absolutely optimal. Now, if you guys like a burst fire, I'll give you guys one more class. So this is the DG58. This is the alternative to the LSW if you did not want to have a fully automatic and you just wanted to have a burst. On the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of some aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. But on the DG56 LS18 barrel for bullet velocity and range, aiming out of sway, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of hip fire and tac stance spread, movement speed, aim walking speed, and sprint to fire speed. So on the Kimura Rin 03 vertical grip for gun kick control, recoil control, aiming out of sway, and firing aim stability at the cost of horizontal recoil, sprint to fire speed, and aim down sight speed. But on the 60 round drum, I just think this is the best choice, especially considering you want to have as many bullets as possible and not very little. 40 is good, but the cons just aren't that much noticeable to distinguish between 40 and 60. Last but not least, the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5 times. I mean, it's personal preference, but I think this is the best overall choice. And if you are going to use this, just make sure you actually set this to like tap to fire instead of holding it, just because it shoots way faster. Instead of holding it, when you're holding it, the rate is literally like this. Instead of, so you guys notice the difference. It's just something that's way better, and it may be a little thing to like some people, but I just think it gets the job done a little bit quicker if you're tapping instead of holding. So this is the class setup right here. I think that you guys should copy it down. If you aren't a fully automatic guy, this burst fire will definitely get the job done for you.